Hey there everybody, welcome back to another episode in Project C.A.R. Now I know it's been a few weeks and I haven't done the bi-weekly updates, but that's because I've decided to give you some quality episodes where I will actually be presenting you something valuable instead of having the weekly or bi-weekly rambles about, I don't know, whatever update I can think of at the time. So from now on it might not be as regular, but there will be good episodes hopefully with some value to you where you can use, learn from, or put into practice in your own car. So as you can see, we're not actually in my garage as per usual. This time around we're in my work place of residence, if you want to call it that. This is where I stay in between work shifts, and it's an interior that is not my design, but hey ho, it works. It's plenty of space for me to do my things, because obviously I don't have my wife or my child here, so I can just leave the stuff laying out without having to clear up each time, which is quite nice, but then also I lose track of a lot of things. So what have I been doing? I've been working on my electrics and primarily the design phase. I'd say we'll start over here and then we'll work our way around in each different stage of the process. So here we have the wiring loom as by box standard from Painless Performance. You've got the manual here. So like I said, the one I've got is 10414, which is the bulkhead firewall pass-through. It's a standard wiring loom they do, but this is a fuse box that comes with it, and then you've got all the wires coming. So what I've done here is I've laid them out roughly as how I want them in the car. So you've got the main trunk that comes through the back, then this will go to the instrument panel. We've got this section here that goes to the steering column. We've got a section that goes down to the pedal box and items, so things like a neutral safety switch, brake switch, those kind of things are on there. Now we've got a few bundles here. So first off, you've got the tail section, so all of this goes to the tail, and I think they read all the way through the caravan here. Then we've got a section that goes to the switch panel, so there's obviously a lot more wires to be attached to that. We've got something for the headlight relays, because I'm using what are they, halogen light bulbs, so obviously they I think they're halogen, yeah, I believe so. Anyway, they need a relay, so these wires will need to be redirected there. And then we've got the light switch itself, which turns all the lights on and off. And I've got a few loose wires here still hanging. Obviously I need to sort out. Basically what I'm doing is I'm using a perfectly fine wiring loom that I'm completely redesigning to my liking, so that it works for me. So a lot of these wires obviously will be altered as I go through it, because once the car's back, obviously I'll have to put connectors in the bulkhead, and all these wires will be reshaped. Anyway, onto the side then. So we've got, there's boxes everywhere. So here are all my components, like I don't know, you can see sockets in there, battery isolator switch in the back, dimmer controllers in there. So there's a lot of electrical components. This is the box that the painter's wiring came in. Ground harness is actually really nicely done, but because I'm using a completely different setup where all my components have individual ground sources, I'm not going to use that. Aside from that, you get a few spare fuses, a lot of connections and plugs and whatnot. So yeah, it's a really well detailed kit that would set you up pretty well, unless you're like me and you change everything. In here is all the wiring and sensors for the instruments that I'm going to be installing, which happen to be laying next to it. Just cover them up to keep them somewhat clean. And now obviously there's shit tons of wire, excuse my French. There's a lot of paperwork all over the shop with drawings, tables that I've made. There's notes absolutely everywhere. Initial designs for the switch panel is an earlier design that I actually like and might go back to. It's a bit of my aviation background in there. But anyway, that's all the paperwork. Now once that was laid out, I could then move on to designing the new system. And this is actually the wiring loom that goes to the front of the car, engine and headlights and whatnot. And this is the connector that goes in the back of the fuse box that goes through your bulkhead. Now I'll get to that later, because again, I'm changing things, so that won't be applicable to mine. In hindsight, I should have ordered the other version, but hey ho, that's too late now. What's this? We've got a early design here, which is now completely and utterly irrelevant. Anyway, so then we move on to this station here, and this is what I call the design phase. So what I'm doing is I'm going through the manual that I've printed off a few times actually. Basically what I'm doing here is I've got all these notes. I don't want to mess up the original book that came with it, so I've just printed off copies. And like you see, I mean, there's a lot of notes on here because, like I said, I'm changing it, so that's how I go through this. And then we get to draw each and every component. For instance, here you've got the lights, in this case the fog lights, both front and rear. And I'm drawing the schematics or the diagram, whichever you want to call it, on here. First of all, I draw it on paper. I mean, there's quite a few done by now. Obviously, I mean, low beams, high beam system. So all of this gets drawn out on paper, and then we go on to the computer, which I'll show you in a second, where I'm then going to put them into proper schematics, which then eventually end up in the car as a book for easy access. As you can see, I've got some drawings from the BMW originally laying around. This, for instance, I'm trying to work out how the windscreen wipers work with the control module and the switch that's on your steering wheel, or it's a steering column, sorry. So all of that I somehow have to change to, I think I've got like 2 or 3 wires in the wiring loom to sort this out. I might have to do that slightly different, obviously. But like I said, this is the design phase, and from here we go off to the computer, which is where I convert my my initial drawings, my draft drawings, into fully digitalized computer drawings. So for instance, this here is the rally lights that I've already done. Not the parking lights, the reversing lights I've also done. So what you can see is obviously I've got the wires that will be used in it. I've got them listed here with the numbers, the color, and then the thickness will be coming a little bit later once I've sorted that out. The bulb fittings, if they are lights, bulb fittings, what type of fitting, wattage and amperage, so I know exactly what to get once needs replacing. Also the fuse that originally provides power to the system goes all the way through, and then obviously you've got lights at the bottom in this case. Like I said, I've also done the rally lights, which is slightly more complicated, but again it's all simple switches that are using a fuse that provides the power to all of it. And then I've just finished the engine coils, which is slightly more complicated because I've got 2 of them. So again, I'm using redundancy in a lot of my things because I want to be able to quickly get back on the road if I have any issues on the side of the road at night in shitty weather during a rally. So that's why I've got 2, and this will be, they will both have a connector which will then easily connect to the rest of the wiring loom. And then obviously it goes through the dashboard to the tachometer, the fuse that obviously provides power to it, and then to the ignition switch, which provides power to the coil. So that's the digital version, and then eventually once that is all done, I'm gonna print them off onto a physical paper and then turn them into a book, so I've got that available at all times in the car. Now obviously once this process is done, we'll have to put it into the physical wiring loom. That, however, is going to be a different episode because I'll need the body, the car body to be back, so I know exactly how long wires need to be, where the connectors are going, etc, etc. So for now it's just designing it, and then hopefully come September we'll start building the actual wiring loom in a physical way. I decided to make a book that has all the components listed in it. This chapter here, chapter 3, maintenance schematics, that's all about maintaining the car, because I don't want to carry the massive workshop manuals and other booklets around. I've decided to extract all the important items, put them in here, and then I've done the same with a lot of the manuals of various components that are in the car. So for instance, the trip masters that we'll be using for rallying. This is pretty much the book I'm building. Obviously it's a lot of work, and it's just, I mean, for instance, these are the tables with all my fuses, what controls what, and then obviously each component is listed on the other side, which has it alphabetically listed with the fuse behind it, how many amps it draws, and when it comes on, so either battery, ignition, or accessory. Fire extinguisher system, I was actually working on that just before I started recording. So for instance, I've got all the parts lists that are in here in case I ever need to order something, just maintenance on how to do it. Anyway, I can keep going on about this forever, but that's not doing you any good. So yeah, like I said, that's what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, really. I haven't been able to do an episode until now because really there isn't much to show, and I want to give you some real quality episodes instead of a bi-weekly blah blah about, I don't know, whatever I have done at the time. So let me know what you think about that, and obviously don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment on the videos, and let me know your feedback. And then really I'll have a look what happens next time. In the meantime, the car is still in the workshop, so we can't go there yet with some good footage. Hopefully it will be finished in about hopefully end of August. I'll have it back. I'll have to go there in July to do the seat fitting, get the steering wheel lined up, all those kind of things. So that will be hopefully an episode which I can then bring out to you. In the meantime, I'll keep working on this, and hopefully I'll have some more back at home where I've been working on the engine block and a few other bits and bobs that I'm just cleaning up, restoring, and that kind of thing. So hopefully I'll have some more for you next time round, but for now that's going to be it. So thank you very much for watching, joining me and subscribing, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.